And you may begin when you're ready.
Hello, today we'll be talking about CRISPR, a gene editing machine. My name is Surat Rayvuri, this is Nikhil Kudva, and this is Raphael.
Glenn Cohen, a director of biomedical technology at Harvard, states that gene editing comes in many varieties with many differences, and that any deep discussion needs to take into account these distinctions. For that reason, we'll be talking about CRISPR specifically. There are countless consequences of CRISPR gene editing, some of which include the creation of designer babies, the unknown consequences of passing edited genes to future generations, increasing the effect of drugs, as well as fetuses not giving consent to being edited for birth.
We believe that the implementation of regulations on CRISPR will increase quality control, handle ethical drawbacks, and ensure an improvement in the ethical medical field.
So these are our lenses. I'll be diving into scientific lens.
I'll be diving into ethical.
And I'll be doing futuristic.
What is CRISPR? CRISPR, which stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats, is a type of gene editing used in many medical treatments. Applications for this technology are ripe, such as how gene editing can edit people's DNA and could be the future treatment for sickle cell disease. This is one of the numerous examples of CRISPR's ability to aid in medical treatment. CRISPR works by using RNA molecules, as you can see here, that can target specific sequences of DNA. When combined with the enzyme Cas9, CRISPR can cut, edit, or modify the DNA at precise locations, allowing for the precise genetic alterations in organisms.
Our problem. Moville credited CRISPR and Cas9 as the biggest biotech discovery of the century. Me and my team found many ethical problems with gene editing. One of the biggest ethical problems that we found is religion. Many monotheistic religions have laws against the unnatural editing of human genomes. This quote by Qasem El-Albas says, monotheistic religions are very conservative about such changes to the human genome and can be considered an interference with God's creation. This statement shows how gene editing can be considered unethical in countries that were built on these religions. These religions include Christianity, Deism, Judaism, and Islam. Gene editing on humans is like a double-edged sword. On one hand, you could create designer babies, like Raphael was saying, which are perfect babies, and they have no chance of getting any genetical disorders. While on the other hand, gene editing is a very precise process, and if done wrong, can severely mess up the baby for life. As you can see in this photo, if the puzzle piece is put in the wrong spot or done poorly, the baby will look weird. One final ethical issue that my research found was how people could enhance drugs or enhance the impact of drugs on themselves, which will lead to an increase of crime rate looking at this chart.
Our lens is futuristic. CRISPR's future is what we are most concerned with, since its growth can lead to potential dangers. On the first graph, you'll see that economists and big pharma companies are expecting a big growth in the market, with financial analysts from Future Market Insights saying that there will be a big leap from $2.4 to $32.9 billion in the year 2033. One of the biggest concerns that we have with this growth is precision. As the technology develops, more scientists are becoming aware of off-target and unintended mutations, which is highlighted by Fei Gao. Fei Gao is a scientist at the Capital Medical University in Beijing, and he argues that CRISPR can still cause unintended mutations, and that risk will be even greater as the technology grows without any regulations. Shirt already mentioned this, designer babies are also becoming more popular. According to a study published by the Pew Research Center, over 70% of Americans are concerned about the future of gene editing on babies and germline cells. This shows that citizens are worried about the future of CRISPR. Even with all these concerns, one point stood out to me more than any other, and that is Tracy Tomlinson, who is an associate at the Fordham Law Review, who stated that experts warn of the potential that CRISPR has to be weaponized in bioterrorism and warfare. These problems, along with the possible growth of the CRISPR market, make it necessary for a solution to be put in place.
The solution me and my team found was adding more restrictions on who could get gene editing technology. We think the government should make sure only trusted hospitals with government supervision could perform this activity. This solution is an excellent way to counter many problems and will help make gene editing more efficient. If gene editing happens under government supervision, we can also know who has been genetically modified before, which can eliminate biases in sports and other categories.
Implementing our solution will be difficult. There's multiple limitations we are going to have to deal with, especially with the downsides that will happen as a result. The World Health Organization stated that gene editing can reverse the most fundamental reasons for the body's natural decline on a cellular level, so it can drastically improve the span of the quality of life later. This in turn prevents the ethical dilemma because implementing our solution would allow people to get the health care they need and allow people with more money to live longer than those without. Genetic editing can improve the quality of life, but regulations may limit access. Advocating for government reform would be costly and time-consuming, depending on how severe the regulations for gene editing are. People might not be able to get the treatment they need, just letting them die in the process. Another problem is advocating for government reform, which will involve spending millions of dollars for advocacy and awareness and countless years of passing laws, but these are the only ways to implement our solution.
When regulations are put in place, more restrictions are created for everyone involved in the gene editing industry. For example, Tracy Tomlinson, an associate at Fordham Law Review, argues that new regulations will limit the availability of CRISPR, along with options for production. By addressing the means of production for CRISPR, we can limit the negative effects of excess regulations while still maintaining a stable structure for CRISPR to flourish.
We believe the right amount of advocation to the government, regulations could be applied, ensuring the safe use of gene editing for the proper purposes.
Gene editing will be an essential tool in the future of healthcare, aiding in the cure of many different diseases and saving countless lives.
Gene editing is a technology with many ethical concerns, but with proper regulations put in place, we believe that it will be an exciting step towards the future.
Mulligan stated, "To navigate the future of gene editing, we must anchor our endeavors in an ethical reflection, ensuring that progress serves humanity's best interests, not its basest fears." Thank you.
Okay, Nikhil, talk to me about what was the strongest counter argument that you came across for gene editing?
So our strongest counter argument was that gene editing, it's a double-edged sword. You can help people with their health problems that we can't solve right now with modern technology. But at the same time, the amount of people you'll be helping would also hurt many babies who are coming to life, who may not consent to the modifications they're put through, whether that be for better or worse. It could make them living advertisements, or they could make them perfect in every way. But we don't know if the baby wants that or not.
Interesting. Okay. So who of your teammates had the greatest impact on your understanding of the topic?
I think Raphael's research had a really good impact on the topic because he talked about designer babies and a lot about the solutions in his research, which was a good part.
Good. And then Raphael, what gaps, if you had more time, would you try to address?
I'd definitely try to address the effectiveness of CRISPR, because right now it's still in its early stages, so its effectiveness is not that high, and the trade-offs are more or less disadvantageous for CRISPR.
Okay. All right. Very good, guys.